Welcome.
Welcome.
We're back.
We're back. Another episode of the
Christmas show. What are we talking about today?
Oh, it's definitely going to be random today.
It's random?
It's random.
We didn't write any notes down for y'all. We just finna give y'all this value. That's it. So.
Conversation we was having earlier.
You want to go? Yeah, you want to start there? I think this is good. This is going to be good controversy. Let's start Potus.
Yeah.
And if y'all don't know who we're talking about, Potus, y'all really don't know what the acronym for Potus is. We're talking the President of the United States. I'm looking at the wrong guy. I need to look there because I'm looking at myself. All right.
So
Potus.
Either way,
I think you had a really, really good thought process.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if America is going to like
this,
but I
they're
think
not.
For the sake of conversation, this is a good debate.
Yeah. So what I said was there is an age limit to where you can't become president, but you can't even run for president until you're 35 years old.
Until you're 35 years old, correct.
And there should be a cutoff to when you can no longer run, I feel.
Okay.
Not discriminating on age, none of that good stuff. Not here for that. Not here for that at all. What I'm saying is, if you can't run until you're 35, which means you have had to go through some life experiences before you can run, then if you've been in offices, you've been in offices since you're 35 years old, other councilmen and all that other stuff, that's different. But far as president is concerned, if you're at that level, that means you are not at the level of the average person.
I can agree with that.
So the everyday struggles that Americans or people deal with, you are far removed from that.
Okay.
So if you can't run until you're 35, retirement age is between 60 and 70, most likely.
Yep.
So your cutoff for being president, I feel, should be between 65 and 70.
So you're saying 30 to 35 years to run
and be in the
country.
Yes, to be in the presidential office anywhere in that time frame. That's when you hit it. Anything after that, you are not in touch. Again, you're not in touch with the everyday struggles of the everyday person. You don't know. You're depending on your cabinet, the people that work for you, to tell you about what's going on in the world.
Yep.
You ain't lived it because you ain't been in it in a long time.
Yep.
So if you can't run until you're 35, again, my opinion, I feel that there should be a cutoff. Right now, in our presidential year that we have coming up, we have two people, the two front runners that they have right now.
We talking Biden, Trump?
Yes.
Okay.
Those two are so far removed from the everyday struggles that people deal with. One ain't never struggled in his life. Ain't never struggled in his life.
We know that for a fact.
Yep. We know that for a fact. Born into money, always had money. Now, I don't know if he's the best manager of it.
I think some people would debate that as well. But don't keep it pushing.
But, nonetheless, you was born into it. You've always had it. And you can't identify with the everyday struggles. Whereas the other one, I don't necessarily think he was born into money, but you have a privilege of establishing yourself a lot better than what the average American does. That person has been in office since before I was born. So, if you've been in office that long, even then too, you so far removed from what's going on that you don't know what's going on. Again, you're depending on your cabinet to tell you what's going on. The one thing I hate, and I hate is a strong word.
Very strong word.
But the one thing I absolutely hate about politics is the fact that the pandering. You only come around to minorities when it's a voting time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an all, while you're in the office, you know, you're not thinking about all the promises that you made while you're on the campaign trail. You're not thinking about the things that the people that you pandered to. You're not thinking about the things that they care about. Once you get into office, it's only about what the office, the House, and the Senate. Mm-hmm. It's only about the bills that they have. And even then, the people that we think we elected to go represent us, they ain't there to represent us. They're only there for their special, what I can't think of the word that I want to use. They're only there for themselves, basically. I can't figure out the word that I want to use for that.
Everybody in this world has selfish intent at some point. Everybody has the desire to excel in whatever they're doing. Mm-hmm. So with politics, I feel like, yes, if we go into politics, my aim is to be at the top of the food chain. So if the top of the food chain is to become Potus, then yeah, sometimes we do whatever we got to do to put ourselves into that position. I don't disagree with what you're saying about, you know, if I've been in politics for so long, and we know President Biden has been in politics for over 40 years, mm-hmm. you may not, like, because you've done it for so long, some of these practices are like second nature. Mm-hmm. So I definitely agree with, you might not be the most suited to deal with, you know, a average family in Ohio or North Carolina mm-hmm. that averages $60,000 a year, but we know how inflation is going, and mm-hmm. like mm-hmm. you can't associate with their struggles. Mm-mm. And then yeah, Trump is a whole nother conversation.
A whole nother conversation that we are not going to break.
So this would be, and I guess I have my phone in my hand. I will do this. Who was the youngest president of the United States? So the youngest man to assume presidency in the United States was Theodore Roosevelt, who became president at the age of 42 years and 322 days. The youngest to become, let me finish reading it. Succeeded the office after the assassination of William McKinley. So the youngest president to be elected was John F. Kennedy, who was 43 years old and 236 days at his inauguration. So, and of course I wasn't alive during the JFK presidency. Definitely heard he was looking to do great things, mm-hmm. a lot of good. Mm-hmm.
And they took him out.
Not necessarily, not only the black community, but all communities, yeah. all people.
And they took him out.
And as we listen, we might be treading some real touchy water right here, because, you know, the more you know, the more they want to silence you.
Exactly.
The more that you're willing to speak, mm-hmm. The more they want to silence you. Mm-hmm. Like we could relate this back to some of the prominent hip hop figures that we've had over the years, like a Tupac, like a Biggie, like a Nipsey Hussle. Mm-hmm. So again, I think that's a whole nother story. Back to POTUS. I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with, you know, we've had, like, I'll go local. I'll go home. Like, we've had people in profile positions in our local government. Mm-hmm. You know, we've had people in the sheriff office for 40, 50 years.
True.
People at the police station for 40, 50
True.
years that Also, you might not be the most qualified person at this time because you've done it for so long, and you're not in tune with how Sanford is right now, how Lee County is right now.
You're so used to the politics.
You have your old indoctrinated thoughts and processes in your mind, and you're not willing to adapt to the change. So, no, I think that's a good argument, man.
In all positions, I'm all for longevity, being at your job, whatever the case may be. I get that. But when you're in positions where you're dealing with the public office, those positions should have a time limit on it.
But even with, I agree with what you're saying, longevity. People want to have longevity in any type position, right? But what is too long? Do I want to do the same thing for 40 years?
Again, that's why I said it should have a time limit. It should be a limit on when as how long you're going to be in this particular position, especially when you're dealing public servants, because that's what they are. When you are in an elected position, that elected position should come with a time frame. Point blank. It should come with a time frame. If it's an elected position, it should come with a time frame. You cannot be in the same. Again, you can only be president for 2 terms. That's 8 years.
That is very true.
That's 8
limit
years.
How long you can be the president, how many
2
terms that you could actually serve. They do limit that, but
so if you can only serve 2 terms as a president.
But I won't say, well, you can run for president. Good example, Bernie Sanders. You can run for president. 85.
You can run for president as many times.
Bernie Sanders is actually 85.
Yeah. You can run for president as many times as it is. How many other times you want to run. However, you can only be elected to that position twice. Mm-hmm. That is a total of 8 years. So if you can only be the president,
I think if I remember this correctly from school, you can only serve in the seat of president for a total of 10 years. You can be elected to 2 terms, and you serve 2 terms, 4 years apiece. That's the 8 years. But if you were, let's say, in this situation that we were talking about,
that's different. That's different. You were was he the vice president, and then you move up. That's different. Those 2 years that's different.
Go into 2 terms.
That's different because if something happens to the president, then you have to step up. Right. That's different. But if you were elected into that position,
you can only be elected for a total of 2 terms.
That's it.
A maximum of 8 years.
That's it. That's it. So if the president can do 8 years, a councilman, senator, whatever the case may be, their term should be 10 years. 10 years. 10 years should be your time in any office, in any elected position. 10 years. Because at that point, things have changed.
Truth.
If with technology changes yearly.
Truth.
And if technology is changing yearly, and technically, they say you're supposed to learn something new every single day.
Every single day we should, absolutely.
And change is something that's constant.
Truth.
If change is constant, and you're supposed to learn something new every day, how can you still be in the same position for over 10 years? What are you learning? What new material are you bringing to the table? How are you relating? If you, and in this, and I can say this, 43. How can I relate to a 23-year-old right now?
That's a good argument.
So at any point, in any elected position, I feel 10 years for elected, you got your councilmen, your aldermen, your senators, all of them. 10 years. Mm-hmm. Your president has a time limit. He can only serve 2 terms. Let me not say he. They.
Absolutely. Women's empowerment. Absolutely.
They can only serve 2 terms, which is a total of 8 years.
Correct.
That's it. if you can't start running for president until you 35, you got 10 years if you elected. So I get it. No, I'm sorry. Let me correct. I said 10 years. 8. President, 8 years. So you can't run. You can't even think about running for president until you're 35. So if you get elected at that point to president, you got 8 years. Whether you do your first 4, take a break, come back and run again. No matter what it is, you only get 2 terms. Whereas these other people, all of our good senators and councilmen and all those good folks, they hold these seats. They hold these seats forever, for a very long time.
To keep the power, that would be my thought process behind why I want to sit in, why I want to do this job for 40 years, because it comes with a certain level of responsibility. It comes with a certain level of power.
That part. Yes, yeah. It does. And the thing the one thing that I hate the most, dislike the most, is that everything is so party driven. You're Democratic or you're Republican. Democratic or Republican. Why do we have parties? Why?
Control.
I do.
Who's really in control? Just like we stated, we vote. We publicly vote. This is an election year, so we're going to go out and we're going to give our pick for who we feel we want to put in that office. Mm-hmm. But like, we can go back to these last 2 election years, mm-hmm. where you had a lot of controversy and maybe even scandal behind, well, who actually won these elections, mm-hmm. and who was placed into that office. Mm-hmm. I think we could go back to Clinton, Miss Hillary Clinton, and also the last election between Biden and Trump. Mm-hmm. So, all very good arguments. Look, I don't want to have to do another Malcolm X tribute with me in the window with the AR, because I know a lot of people saw that, and like, look, I remember the flack that I caught from my bishop in the picture of me walking down the street with the rifle on my back during that music video shoot.
Again, we don't normally touch on political things, and we're not.
But the name of this show is Random Thoughts.
It is,
and that was the thought that we had.
That was the random thought
this morning
that I had. But again, we're not here to tell you who to vote for, how to vote, none of that good stuff. That's we don't.
None of that.
I don't care who you vote for.
This is not.
Is not
political advice.
No.
In any
type way.
This is simply
an opinion.
This is simply our opinion.
That's it. That's all. It is our opinion, and it's really my opinion. He's agreeing. He's agreeing and disagreeing.
I'm the content creator, so we're gonna bring you. We appreciate y'all supporting the podcast.
Definitely. But yeah, again, this is just my opinion. Opinions are like booty holes. Everybody got one.
Everybody.
So if you don't like my opinion, that's okay. That's fine. It doesn't faze me one bit.
I was gonna go there. I was gonna give y'all my sense of humor and say I like your booty hole, but somebody's gonna take that and go way left field.
And that's not what we're here for. Okay. So, but again, everybody has their own opinion to what they may feel. And if you agree with me, that's cool. If you don't agree with me, that's cool. But again, that's the best thing about this country, is that we have a freedom of speech. Absolutely. That we can say what we feel. You don't have to like what I say. That's cool. I don't have to like what you say. That's cool. And again, if you don't like what we're saying and you don't like how we're approaching the subject, please feel free to scroll on.
Big facts. I didn't make you stop on my page.
No.
You saw something or heard something that made you stop on this page, on this post.
If you don't like it, again, you can feel free to either comment that you don't like it. Don't be rude.
So I'm gonna let you finish that as we are coming up on the 20-minute mark. But without taking too much time, I'm trying to figure out where I want to have this conversation. I'm not sure. I think it's gonna come twofold, and because it's me, I think some of this is gonna spill over into the On Site podcast.
Of course.
But random thought. Mm-hmm. professionalism
Mm-hmm.
and with everybody having
Oh.
your 15 minutes of fame. Listen, this thing right here, not my alarm, but this thing right here makes people celebrities. This thing right here will
It
make
does.
everybody voice their opinion, even when they will say something really, really stupid. So without going too deep into it, and this was, I have to thank you, because I got caught up in a Instagram conversation with somebody that I will never meet.
No.
Based off of a post that they haven't seen because they're not subscribed to me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue is they looked at my camera settings, or I don't even
say that's not even needed.
it's not even needed. And this is where she corrected me.
This is the whole.
As I'm having my beef, she reminded me that I am talking to a brick wall.
That's
and
it.
The wall is going to win.
Yeah, every time. Every time. This is the thing. We were raised to give your best first impression at all times. Mm-hmm. So number one, you got to be professional. Mm-hmm. Be professional. It does not matter who you are reaching out to. If you are reaching out to someone to perform a service for you, if you are contacting someone else for anything, it does not matter. What you don't do is reach out to them and use Ebonics.
Oh, yes. I hate
You
that.
don't reach out to someone in the middle of the night. You don't reach out to someone and just be unprofessional. That's just, number one, it's not conducive. Because as me personally, if I open up an email and we all went to school and we all were taught there is a greeting, then the body,
how to properly structure an email, yes.
and then the closing.
Well,
Point blank.
That was essay writing. Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
The greeting, the body, and the closing.
This was language arts. This was, yes.
That was a point blank all the way around. That's still being taught. The greeting, hello, the body, I'm such and such. I'm reaching out to you for this. Are you available on this date, this time? If you have any further questions, please contact me at da-da-da-da-da. Thank you, and your name.
So, without you going any further, let me publicly put this out here for you guys. What you're hearing is my booking manager giving you real world scenarios and real world messages that come in to the business page and to my personal DMs.
So, and this is too. This is not just him. This is all professionals.
You should definitely be professional.
When you are contacting someone, just like if you go into an interview, when you go to an interview, you have to put your best foot forward. You have to be on your P's and Q's. Got to. When you present your resume has to be done a certain way. Mm-hmm. If your resume is not done a certain way, when it gets to that hiring person, they gonna look at it, turn it over, and keep it pushing.
Truth.
So, if you are contacting someone, no matter what stage of you, where you are, if you're contacting someone, be professional. And if you don't know how to do that, in this day and age, they have a lovely thing called AI. AI will help you.
Artificial intelligence. Listen,
it will help you.
I learned a lot, and I'm gonna close the segment with this. I learned a lot in my tenure at Full Sail University. Mm-hmm. Full Sail helped me build this production company to where it is and the heights that the future and God will take it, mm-hmm. right? But the class that I did not understand, that I enjoyed the most, was a class called email etiquette. This is a real thing.
Yes,
this is a real thing.
It is real.
It taught me how to properly structure emails.
Mm-hmm.
Why I should not type in all caps,
Oh
because
God,
now
you're
I am
yelling.
yelling at people in an email.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me exactly what you just said: the greeting, the introduction, the body,
Mm-hmm.
and the closing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And throughout my career, the one thing that even when I've had clients that did not, at the end of the day, enjoy the work that I gave them, they never came back and said you were unprofessional.
Never.
The way you approached me was unprofessional. The way that you conducted business was unprofessional.
Mm.
And even with, like, I had clients that didn't like the first project but came back to book again, and we killed it. Like, it, because of my professionalism.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Are you professional? Can you handle, when you're dealing with the public, you got to be able to handle multiple different attitudes, multiple personalities.
Truth.
And again, the way you introduce yourself, that initial greeting, is what's going to let somebody know how they're going to deal with you. And in your initial meet, which is that could be that email or that message that you send to someone's DM, if you don't have their their email address or whatever the case may be, that first initial reaction can say, oh, they're going to be good to work with, or they're going to be hell to work with.
That's true.
And at that point in time, your email, how it's worded, the tone that you come in the email with, please spell check. Please spell check.
I am bad for this myself.
Please spell check.
As professional as I am terrible at making sure I spell check.
Please spell check. Don't use Ebonics. But again, how you approach a person will determine if they decide to work with you. Because again, as a consumer, and you're going to provide a service, when you go to approach that person, not only are you interviewing that person is interviewing you. So if the initial contact is not up to their level, they're going to read your message and keep it pushing. They may or may not respond back, depending on, number one, did you contact them during the daytime? Did you contact them in the middle of the night when they sleep? Did you contact them professionally? Did you contact them using Ebonics? Did you contact them and fully state exactly what you needed, or did you contact them with a question? Well, that's it. Can you do this? When evidently you know they can do it because you've seen it. You seen them do it.
Ooh, you spit and keep preaching.
So if you know that they can do it, you don't send them a question, can you do this? Another thing, all professionals have a fee.
Uh-oh.
All professionals have a fee.
Uh-oh. This is for you cheap people.
If you can't pay that fee, the one thing you don't say is, oh, that's too expensive. Oh, no, it's not. It's not. You can't afford it. But one thing you can do,
bang, bang, shots fired.
If you wanted them shoes,
oh yeah, we got it.
You gonna pay them shoes.
We gotta go. Oh my.
If you wanted that outfit,
oh my goodness,
you gonna pay for that outfit.
Shout out to all the local brands that we rock with.
Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this, and this goes for everybody.
This is why I started doing the podcast with my wife.
Be professional at all times. Your first impression is a lasting impression.
It's the lasting impression.
If my first impression of you is that you are an a-hole,
you're probably always going to be that. And it's going to be very, very hard to change that narrative.
Absolutely. If the first impression of you is, I don't know.
We'll probably always have reserves because
How you approach.
I don't know.
Now, if your approach and everything else, your email is right, or if we meet in person and that energy is right, because that is another thing as well. You can meet someone. You can be ready to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet them, and that energy is off. If that energy is off, you already know this ain't gonna work out. When you hire a professional, you're hiring a professional because you see that they know what they're doing. Evidently, you liked what they did. So what you can't do is come in and tell that person how to do their job.
And on that note, y'all make sure y'all support my daughter, Sense by Yaya. Y'all go get some of these candles.
SenseByYaya.com. She makes great candles. They're all made with love, one of a kind. You'll never get the same candle ever.
Never.
Ever.
Ever.
We've tried to reduplicate them. It don't work.
and guess what? She has professional parents. So when you go online and you hit that website, sensebyaya.com, you're going to see something. And it sends a message to us. And you don't have to call me or call her mother or search her Instagram page or her Facebook profile to try to find out where the products are, where you can purchase them, where she'll be at her next event, like, because she's a professional and she has a website. So what I'm saying is her business is in order. She is standing on business, and that's what we do over here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the Random Thoughts podcast.
Thank you so very much. We greatly appreciate it.
Greatly appreciate it. Hey, I don't even know how we ended it. We just
tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.